When you look at some of these people like Sharon, you really think that they are Jews, and you really think that Judaism comes out of Europe. Judaism didn't come out of Europe, it came out of Africa. I mean, these are just facts. So they can say that Marx and Lenin is the opium of the people, and they can even discuss atheism openly. As a matter of fact, when the Soviet Union had its socialist revolution, they claimed atheism is a state religion. Now, atheism doesn't say you don't believe in God. Atheism says God does not exist. You must know properly the difference. Now, because of European culture, because of its historical development in relation to religion, we say they can discuss atheism. But in Africa, you can't discuss atheism. In Africa, the people are believers. They are deep believers. And not only are they deep believers, their religion has not been alienated from their struggle for freedom as in Europe. Their religion has been part and parcel of their struggle for their liberation. I mean, Martin Luther King was a minister. Don't forget, so was Malcolm X. And so wherever you go, you will see hand in hand, religions are used as a means of opposing the devil. In the area under discussion now, where war is going on, the Muslims there use their religion as a powerful weapon against the enemy. So in Europe, where religion has been used as the opium of the masses, this is not true for other areas outside of the world. We are just giving you clear examples of why you must have a clear understanding of your culture, and that you must know your ideology comes from your culture, and you cannot take the ideology of others to be yours. For a long time, we have been saying that we were not Marxist-Leninists. We were attacked. The reason we were attacked is because they thought that Marxist-Leninism and socialism meant the same thing. And not only that, the only way you could arrive at socialism was through Marxist-Leninism. And many people had this discussion with me. I remember as a young man in Vietnam with its top leadership. When discussing, they said, well, comrade, Marxist-Leninism is the only way. I would tell them, well, I must be honest with you. I have certainly read it. I have studied it. I know it. I keep studying it. I will study until I die, because I know Marx, Lenin, and Engels were great men. But somehow, honestly with you, I cannot tell you that I accept it as part of me. Though I know I'm as revolutionary as any Marxist-Leninist. We've been fighting it for a long time. We said, we've been called reactionary and counter-revolutionary. But we knew that Marxist-Leninism didn't come from our culture. We knew it instinctively. Matter of fact, even the errors of the Communist Party, USA in this country, organized in the South, showed it. When they went to the South to organize, they tried to tell the people that not believing in God was a fundamental aspect of the struggle for freedom. Do you know the only place they could organize was in the church? That's the only place they could organize. Even when I went to the South in the 1960s, the only place we could organize was in the church. Could you imagine me in the church telling the people that before we fight, we must deny the existence of God? Those old people that used to tell me, son, if God is not leading this movement, we ain't going nowhere. Yeah. I would see old people on the line getting ready to go to church, 62 years. I said, Miss Davis, you going to jail? Yes, son. I said, you too old. Don't worry. I got a telephone in my bosom. As soon as they touch me, I'm going to call God. He's going to take care of everything. Yeah. So that's what the people would say. How can you tell these people that to go to jail, you should take out the telephone from your bosom? No. Don't you need another telephone to get a direct call to God when you go to jail, Miss Davis? Yes. We have to use religion in the fight, not try to fight it. We show here again the cultural differences so we can see it clearly. That's why a people must understand their culture. And our culture is nothing but African culture. It's been in struggle against American imperialist culture. And we haven't stopped struggling. The only time we become African Americans is when we stop struggling. That's the only time. But America is Africa's enemy. Has been and must be until it's transformed from the vicious system that it is. I mean, it bombed Libya for no reason at all. Libya's in Africa, you know. It supports every terrorist regime. It supports Botha. It supports de Klerk. It doesn't support the ANC. It doesn't support the Pan-Africanist Congress. It doesn't support the fighting masses of our people. It supports the oppressors. America is not only our enemy, but the enemy of all of humanity. That's why we must be clear about our culture. Now let me show you how you can bring your problems. Just give you some areas now. I want to give you one other area. We had a lot of conflict with these Marxist-Leninists over the question of nationalism. As a matter of fact, they used to call us racist, chauvinists. narrow nationalist, all sorts of terms. But that great son of Africa, Kwame Toure, told them clearly, when you go from a nation to a state, as was the case of Europe, nationalism is dominantly negative. When you go from a state to a nation, as is the case of Africa and the colonized countries just arriving at freedom, nationalism is positive. They got confused themselves with this aspect of historical and dialectical materialism, the thing we talked about by Marx. Marx says that everything has positive and negative in it. Everything. I mean, even you. You have a tendency to cheat, and you have a tendency to be honest. I mean, cheat in school, cheat on whoever you want to cheat on, you understand? Or be honest to them. All of us have this tendency. And depending upon how well disciplined we are, one lies dominant over the other. They're never equal. I mean, these are principles, so there's no middle ground. There's no gray area. Either you cheat on your lover, or you're honest to your lover. Ain't no middle ground. As simple as that. When you recount a story, either you lie or you tell the truth. Ain't no middle ground. And when your people are oppressed, either you're fighting for them, or by your very act of inactivity, you are against them. There is no middle ground. You must understand it properly. So in these principles here, we have no middle ground at all, none whatsoever. And that's why we must come to know properly our culture, and we cannot have compromises with our culture. That's why to speak about African American is to speak about our nomenclature that doesn't exist. The culture of European imperialism is to suffocate Africa. Therefore, we must know properly our culture. If you will look at it, this question, Marx says that there's always something dominant and something negative. And nationalism itself, not only that, but the thing itself at some points can be negative, and sometimes can be positive. Under one condition, you can be a cheater. Under another condition, the same cheater can be a good person. I mean, the beauty of this is understanding people like Malcolm X and seeing that you have nothing to worry about. I mean, Malcolm X was a drain in our community. Malcolm X was a criminal element in our community. He went to jail, and in jail, he went from being dominantly negative to being dominantly positive into such a position that he became a sterling revolutionary, giving examples for people all over the world. That's why I'm not worried about our brothers. We got 25% of our brothers in jail. That's good. That's at least 10% Malcolm X if all 25 don't make it. You know, so we're not worried about nothing. We got to put hands down. Our culture shows us that. You understand? Oh, we got so much drugs in the community. You know nothing. The Chinese whooped them with opium, cracking opium, and that was in the 1890s. Give me a break. Wake up. You're fighting a war. This is a war. You don't cry when you're fighting a war. When a man is dead, you don't cry. If a man gets shot by a police, that's war. If a man died with drugs, that's war. When a man gets crippled in school, that's war. When somebody gets put out of bad housing, that's war. When you get crippled in the hospital because of bad medicine, that's war. Then you go in the religion, they got a white Jesus when he never saw Europe, that's war. We fight war in every level against the system. That's why we must be conscious and stop crying when the system touches us. If you don't want to wage war, get out the way. You understand? But they're war. I'm trying to kill them. So if they kill me, I ain't got nothing to say. You understand? They're supposed to. Matter of fact, Kwame Toure says, if the enemy is not doing anything against you, you are not doing anything. Matter of fact, anytime they start doing something against me, I worry. Every day they're supposed to be doing something against me because every day I'm trying to destroy them consciously. And it's through the culture that we will do it. So this aspect shows us something is positive, something is negative. So Kwame Toure shows that nationalism in Europe, where they've had nations for centuries, now going to state structure, is in fact dominantly negative. But in Africa, where they come divide the country between the British, the French, the Germans, the Spanish, the Italians, you know all of them, and they create something, and it's called a nation, when in fact it's not a nation, just a state, and you get independence with a state structure. You now have to give nationalism to those people. I mean, look at Iraq. Iraq was created in World War I. Before that it wasn't there. It had Kuwait part of it. Now they create Kuwait. Now Kuwait got to get a Kuwaiti nationalism. So when you go from these countries, nationalism is positive. So for us it's positive. And you know, everywhere we go, we're nationalists, and they tell you, no, nationalism is no good, you know, but it must come from your culture. We want to show you just 3 quick examples.